There are so many things I wish I knew before I moved out at 18. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. First, I'm just gonna address the fact that I'm sitting on the floor in a dog bed. My entire couch is covered in blankets because right now we're boarding a cat and I don't know if he's gonna scratch everything up, so we're just gonna kind of ignore the whole filming situation. I haven't filmed a sit-down video in a while, so I'm super excited. If you guys want to ask questions or be more included in future videos, make sure you're following me on all my other platforms. Anyway, let's get into the questions. I have them all on a list here, so if you see me looking down on my phone, that's what I'm doing. Actually, first, I'm gonna start off with giving a little bit of a background. If you guys are new here, my name is Haley Kostick. I'm 19 years old and I moved out at 18 with my boyfriend of 4 years. I feel like what we did is a little bit more unconventional than like the average teenager. We are not going to college. We started a business, which I touched on in my last YouTube video, so if you're interested in all the business side of stuff, go check that video out. But basically, the second I turned 18, I knew I wanted to move out. It was nothing against my family at all, but I just knew it was the right thing for me and I needed the push. Anyway, now that you know kind of a little bit about me, let's get into the questions. The first question is, why did you move? Now, if you didn't know, I was raised in Michigan my entire life and I hated it there. Michigan is freezing. The weather is just so unpredictable and awful. It is cold pretty much 9 months out of the year, and I always knew I wanted to move out, but I didn't really know like the speed in which I wanted to get out of there. When I was around 16, I developed chronic migraines that affected my everyday life to the point where I literally was miserable. I could barely get out of bed. I felt awful all the time. I was getting brain scans done because they thought I had a brain tumor, like literally awful. For as long as I can remember, my family always vacationed to Florida and I knew I loved the area, but when I was 16 and 17, the only relief I had from my migraines was when I was in Florida. Literally, as soon as we touched down in the plane, my migraines would go away. We later discovered this is because I had a chemical imbalance in my brain and I'm technically allergic to the air pressure in Michigan, so that's why all this happened. But from the moment I realized that my migraines completely went away when I was in Florida, I knew I needed to move here as soon as possible. So basically, health and weather, the fact that it's warm here is just amazing. Those are the two main reasons why my boyfriend and I decided to move here. Along with that, one of the top questions I got asked is, did you get lonely the first few days? It's kind of an in-between question because a lot of people don't know that I moved out with my boyfriend, so like lonely personally no, because he was with me 100% of the time, but I don't know anybody down here. My entire family lives in Michigan, his entire family lives in Michigan, so it's kind of just us down here, and if I'm being completely honest, my family comes and visits quite often, so am I really lonely down here? No, not at all. Do I miss family? Of course, yes, but my dad's literally coming in 2 weeks and I've seen him every other month along with my mom for like the entire time that we've lived here, so I can definitely say that I'm not lonely down here. Along with the lonely question, another question I got quite often was, were your parents supportive? Like I said, moving across the country at 18 not for like college or job reasons is a little bit looked down upon, I feel, and when I first started bringing it up to my parents, they definitely thought I was joking. They definitely thought I had no idea what I was talking about, and they definitely thought it was the dumbest idea that I could possibly have in my brain. But I found that including them in the process helped them feel a lot more comfortable with it. For example, after we found the city that we thought we wanted to live in, I included my parents in apartment looking, furniture shopping, and pretty much just the entire process. As they became more comfortable with the area and everything that was going into it, I think they became a lot more supportive. So to answer that question in short, were they supportive at first? I want to say yes, but it took a little bit of warming up too. I think in the end they honestly realized that I was gonna do it with or without their support, and they would rather give me their support than have me like hate them for it. So fast forward, we've been living here 8 months now and they are the most supportive people I literally have ever met in my life, and I'm so grateful for it. Moving on to the next question that I got so much is just everything involving finances. How did you save beforehand? Do your parents pay for your rent? How have things been going financially? Pretty much everything under that spectrum, so let's dive into it. I feel like this is something that not that many people touch on because I don't know why. I honestly wish there was more financial like openness, but let's get into it. Like I said, the last YouTube video that I posted focuses on how I started my business, how it's going, how I got to the place that I am right now, but let's go back way further than how am I making money now and talk about how I saved money back in Michigan before we even started talking about moving. I have no idea why, because my parents never really instilled it in me, but I guess they did without me even realizing. I was obsessed with saving money. Like genuinely finding ways to make money as a kid and putting it somewhere that I couldn't touch was my favorite hobby. I would be on Google looking up how to make money as a teen, how to make money as a 13-year-old. Saving has kind of always been in my blood. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I struggled with chronic migraines from the time I think I was like right around 16 till I moved out. And that also affected my school life, meaning I hated school. It made me feel so sick. So luckily my school found ways to work around this, and I only went to school from 7 a.m. till 11:30 my entire junior year. And somehow I found a job that would let me come straight from school and work pretty much all day. This shop was a boba tea shop, and I loved this job so freaking much. I worked there 5 to 7 days a week for 2 years, and literally from the age of 16 I worked way over full-time. So my entire junior year, on top of doing school kind of part-time, I worked completely full-time. Senior year came around, my head was not getting any better, so my school decided to let me do completely online school, plus the fact that I was graduating a semester early. So I literally finished my school in maybe a month. My work schedule stayed the same. I did the full-time, but I still had time on top of that. So on top of working full-time, I started my dog business. It started as me posting a Facebook ad, and I got one little job that I did every single day in the middle of my shift during my lunch break. Then it kind of spiraled to I had 5-10 different clients that I would drive around to and stop in with their pets, which even though it wasn't like a lot of time, it definitely did bring in extra income. If you guys want a whole video dedicated to my financial situation and how I got to the point where I am now, I can definitely do that. But in short, I'm just gonna say pretty much every single dime that I made went into a bank account that I never touched. My parents were very generous in the fact that they paid for all of the food for our house, pretty much everything for my car. So I really didn't have any bills at the time to pay for, meaning that I was not in need to spend any money. I rarely ever bought myself clothes. I rarely ever bought myself literally anything. All that money went somewhere that I could touch but didn't touch. And for that, I will be forever grateful to my younger self, because I have no idea where she got that from, but oh my god, it has allowed me to do so many things. So basically after 2 years of working full-time, putting everything aside, doing side jobs, I was at the point where I could afford pretty much my dream apartment that I saw here in Florida. Fast forward about 2 months, I got approved for the apartment, and me and Brady moved in and have been loving life ever since. I feel like if you're really good at saving your money, finances will not be an issue, but if you have any sort of issue saving your money, you really need to get that in check before you move out, because genuinely it is so easy to blow through your money. I'm just gonna give you a little breakdown. I have a 2-bedroom apartment. My monthly expenses for rent and utilities come to over $2,000. My furniture alone was $10,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment. Like, expenses are no joke. And I shopped at a discount furniture store. As well as you have to remember you're buying cleaning products, toiletries, and food like pretty much every single week. I'll give you a little bit of a breakdown, but me and Brady's food bill comes out to about $250 a week on food. And we don't eat out, so if we were eating out, that number would probably be closer to $400 a week. All I'm saying is if you're not in check with your finances, moving out is probably not a good idea for you, and that's putting it bluntly. Like I said, it is so easy to blow through your money. So if I were you, I would start instilling good saving habits right now, because that genuinely saved me and Brady. Moving on from finances. Oh, actually, I got another question on finances that I thought was really cute, but honestly made me kind of sad. It says, does college or school teach you how to pay bills? And if I'm being 100% honest here, no, not at all. I honestly don't think it's the hardest thing in the world, especially if you have everything on auto pay, which is an option that you can set up on most things that you have to pay for monthly. But genuinely, if that is something that you're concerned about, just do some research on your own time. I promise that it's not that difficult, but I do feel like it definitely is something that they should touch on in school, and they don't. Moving on. This is another question that I got a lot. It's, has any guy or person followed you home, / how do you feel safe living so far away from your family? For me, safety and comfortability was one of the biggest things when choosing which apartment I wanted to move into, and I feel so blessed to say that I have never once felt unsafe in my apartment complex. That being said, I do have other complexes in the area that I work for, like pet-wise, and I have indeed felt very unsafe in a lot of them. I feel like that's where you really do get the bang for your buck. Like, if you're paying up for rent and you can kind of like see the ambience of the area and you meet a lot of the people and you genuinely feel safe, to me the safety and comfortability is worth the extra rent. So as for have I ever been followed home, the answer to that is no, and I can confidently say that picking the more expensive apartment complex has saved me so much stress and worry. The next question I got is, how has living with your boyfriend been? And genuinely, it's been amazing. I think I touched on this, but me and him have been together for 4 years, so I feel like we saw each other every single day before we moved out. I think moving out for a lot of couples can either be the make or break moment, and for us I feel like it was the make moment. We definitely have figured out kind of how to work with each other with like cleaning, finances, food. It definitely is a learning curve, but if you're willing to put in the work, I think it's so worth it. Those are all the questions that I'm going to talk about in this video, but I did write down 2 things that I think are like major flashing stars that you need to touch on if you are thinking about moving out. Number 1, I know I've said this a million times, but track your freaking finances. Figure out what you're spending each month on each individual thing. Figure out how much you can be spending on each individual thing, and make sure you're living below your means. If you're maxing your credit card every month or ruining ruining your credit just to move out and live on your own, don't freaking do it. If you can't afford it, don't do it, period. Moving on from finances, the other thing I have written down is keep things clean. I feel like this is kind of an obvious thing, but let me just say it is so easy to fall behind on your cleaning. Like if you just forget to vacuum for a week, or you don't do your laundry, or you don't wash your dishes. Let me just say that stuff will pile up so fast. And if you're living with your significant other or by yourself, there's no one really telling you to do it. So stay on track with your cleaning, stay on track with your dishes, stay on track with organizing your closet, stay on track with organizing your pantry. Just make sure you're devoting time to keeping your space clean, because I think when you're trying to like live your best life, live your clean life, and genuinely just want to move out to prove to yourself that you can do it, keeping your space clean is one of the biggest helpful factors. Talking about that just made me remember something I saw an influencer talking about that kind of like made me a little bit upset, and that was the fact that she was moving out solely for the fact that she thought it was going to be like the reset for her life, like the change that she needed to make a change in her life. And let me just tell you, if you have bad habits before you're moving, you're gonna go into your move with the bad habits, and most likely nothing is gonna change. And if not that, your habits are probably gonna get worse. If I were you, I would slap those bad habits out of here before you move, and before you have to be in control of everything that you're doing. If you're like mentally or physically struggling and you think there's any sort of chance that you could like relapse into your bad habits when you move, I would honestly wait a little bit until you can truly get back into your good habits and be as motivated as you possibly can. Those are all the things that I wanted to touch on about moving out, but the last question I have written down here is, would you recommend moving out at 18? For me, I'm gonna say it was the best decision that I have ever made. Moving out truly changed my life. I really feel like living in Florida and living in this beautiful place that I can just be as happy as I can has changed my life. That being said, do I think everybody should move out at 18? No, not even a little bit. I think for a lot of people, it's just really too soon. I think it's just so situational and based on every individual person, so giving like a blanket yes or no, I don't really think fits in this situation. If you think you're ready to move out, then you probably are. If you think you're not, then you probably are not, and I think we should just leave it at that. But if you are watching this and you know that moving out is the right step for you, let me be the one to encourage you. I promise you it's not as scary as you might think, and genuinely it will probably open up a lot of doors in your life that you weren't even expecting. If you guys have any other questions about my experience moving out, or just need any sort of advice, comment it down below and I would be so happy to respond to literally anything you guys want to know. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and comment down below if you have any sort of ideas on what videos you want to see in the future from me. Bye.